Welcome back to Sic'Em 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, with us on Tuesdays most every week. Sic'Em 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Again, Craig is over. In fact, near where Coach Aranda and his football team are working out. He'll be back with us a little bit later. Mack, thanks for your time. Paul Catalina and David Smoke. So the news last night that's out, it's not official yet, but it's out that ESPN is no longer in the Big Ten business as far as a television right. Did you get much feedback from that, and is that good news for the Big 12?
Yeah, there's a lot to that question, and certainly got a lot of text messages from people just asking, is it good or is it bad for the Big 12? And I think I'm not saying that the reporting is inaccurate at all. It very well may be true, but until that's officially announced, I'll wait and see. And there's gamesmanship in all of this, and again, could there be a possibility, a potential that got out there on purpose so that there's a certain rallying cry for ESPN on behalf of people within the Big Ten, and we really can't lose presence on the Big Ten, etc. So I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to be careful on how I state that, but if it's true, obviously the end of a 40 year plus relationship, and what does that mean? What does that mean for ESPN? And when you particularly think about the Pac-12, the Big 12, and the ACC, is that a good thing? When you think about capacity, and certainly everybody's got capacity when you think about dollars spent or dollars invested, does that equate to more money for the Big 12 or the ACC? And we all know that the Pac-12 was in that 30-day window process with ESPN, and so it's just so fluid, Smoke, and it's hard to really determine at this point in time whether it's a positive or it's not a positive. I would say in general, if ESPN now has more capacity, more money to spend, I would naturally say that it's good for it's absolutely good for the Big 12. But how that exactly plays out obviously remains to be seen. And ESPN is it's going to be the CFP in the future as well. So a lot of different things to be thinking about. But when the Big Ten deal is actually announced, then obviously we'll know for certain, and you'll begin to see some, I think, additional dominoes fall.
Mack, how can the Big 12 in its new form, because I kind of look at it, I know that there's history there, but I look at it as kind of a brand new day, a fresh start, and this is, while there's some tradition, a new league. How can they start building the kind of buzz and PR that the Big Ten does? Because I'm not trying to knock some of their football or athletic brands, but some of them, are not comparable to some of the teams that the Big 12 has, and a lot of that is, to me, just good PR on their part. How can the Big 12 get at least close to that in its new arrangement?
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question, Paul. And that is actually in process. And it started last year when we, added the 4. And let me be clear, what has started is the planning for it, and how do we create value? How do we communicate value? How do we create excitement and a buzz regarding the quote unquote new Big 12? And so that's been something that the Big 12 has worked very hard at, and it's continuing to work on. And then with the new commissioner, with Commissioner Yormark and his background, right? He's got a vested interest, obviously, because he's commissioner, but also because of his past experiences. And so I think there's now a little bit of a pause in saying, all right, what we've done to date to prepare. Again, you haven't seen anything publicly, but what we've done to date to prepare. Are there any changes? Are there any tweaks for it? What I will tell you, I think with those institutions, 2 institutions leaving at some point in time, and the 4 new ones coming in, I think the four new ones coming in, absolutely make up for the 2 that are leaving. And you think about their brands and certainly, thinking about their entire athletics program, all 4 really, really solid. But then when you start to really think about, football and where those 4 institutions have been and where they're projected to be still, and men's basketball and women's basketball, I think we're in a really, really good place. And Paul, yes, we need to do a great job telling that story, and I think we will here in the near future.
Mac, $42.6 million is what was distributed based on what Bob Bowlesby said back at Big 12 Media Days. There's always the discussion about who would lose what because of Texas OU, or now with the Pac-12 with USC and UCLA. Do you feel confident that when all is said and done and the new deal is made, whatever and whoever's a part of it with the Big 12, that 42.6 would be the lowest ceiling?
Yeah, it's the first thing that came to my mind is, first of all, and I think this, right? I've never heard a head coach get up and say, "Hey, I just signed a really bad recruiting class."
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So my answer is yes, but genuinely, I think there's, because we've been forced, to some degree to look and really evaluate, our league over the last 9 months. And as we, think about potential, even, additional changes, obviously started by USC and UCLA, lately. But, so we've really had to kind of look deep, within and begin to project and think about future. And I would just say it's really positive. I think the Big 12 has a really strong path, regardless of whether we add teams or not add teams. If we just stay at the 12 once with UT and Oklahoma, I think we have a really, really strong path to remain, in that third spot when you think about revenue distribution. It's been, Big 10, SEC, Big 10, right? And then we've been in a solid third place, with some good room over both the ACC and the Pac-12. And I feel really good about that continuing, that trend continuing. And I think there's a pathway for us to maybe even do better than just saying right at third that we can begin to nip on the heels of those 2 other conferences. But obviously there's a lot of fluidity. The market conditions, change. They potentially change last night if ESPN is not part of the Big Ten. So they're always changing, and so it is a little bit hard to predict. But I would just tell you, when you look at the data, the science, and then you think about the art of it as well. We've got a great future.
Is it possible, if you don't do that, if you don't start to just be what would be a distant third, based on the projections of what we hear about the Big Ten and the SEC, is it possible for everyone to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, even though right now you beat some of these schools with bigger budgets, bigger revenue, bigger stadiums, bigger alums straight up? Could you do that over the long haul?
Can Baylor do it over the long haul? Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't have signed a 10-year deal. You know this. I'm as competitive as anybody you're going to meet. I hate losing, love to win, all of that. I wouldn't have stayed here and agreed to stay here for 10 years if I didn't think that there was going to be a way that Baylor athletics continues to be nationally relevant. So, simple answer, yes.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with the Sic'Em 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Mack, one of the concerns that's come up with conference expansion is outside the football realm, and that it's in the college basketball tournament, as mid-major teams are a little worried that automatic qualifiers might go away. I know the Florida Gulf Coast Athletic Director mentioned something about it this week, that's a concern of his. Do you think that there's enough support within the leagues that aren't expanding at an exponential rate to make sure that the NCAA basketball tournament, which is one of the best showcases of college athletics that there is, if not the best, remains largely the same and untouched?
I do. We talk about some of the things that are fundamental to college sports, and at the top of the list, along with football, Saturdays is the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and it's special for a lot of different reasons, and we can spend an hour talking about that, but it's the inclusivity of the tournament. It's giving schools that maybe have less resources. Think about last year, St. Peter's, right? Giving them the opportunity and the platform to compete with some of the more well-resourced schools. I think that continues. That doesn't mean that there won't be some tweaks and or changes, but I think fundamentally there will still be what I'm going to call access for those schools and for, again, conferences that aren't as well resourced.
Mack, I was at a couple of those practices that are for the windows, and then of course post-practice media sessions. The construction around the Simpson Hires building near the indoor practice facility. It seems like it's just part of the arms race of college facilities and whatever else. So give me an idea what's going on.
Yeah, so right now we're just doing some preliminary work, and this has been public. The Board of Regents has approved about $10 million now to date in terms of work that we're doing and prepping for when we can really get after it, meaning the football operations center. And so we obviously got to get through this season, but on the let me get my directions right. On the south side of the practice fields and adjacent to the Simpson Center, we're getting ready to put in a retaining wall, and are going to fill that with obviously fill it with dirt, soil, and extend the grass fields south a little bit, and that's part of putting together what we are calling a football complex that will consist of, the two practice fields, the indoor, which our intent at this point in time is to extend it by 20 yards so that we have a full 100 yards, under a roof with walls, and then also, building the development center right up against the river. So this is just, again, officially the start of all of that. Obviously excited. We still have some approval processes to go through. Again, up to this point in time, the $10 million has been approved, but we'll continue to work and, hopefully, here in the coming months, have an approval for the entire project, and then really get after it once the football season ends.
If you were to take what you do on an everyday basis on average, with all that's out there now, from the fact that you're running an athletic department to what has happened in the last couple of years with NIL, transfer portal, and now whatever is the future with realignment, how would that piece of what would be the biggest pieces in that pizza for you?
Man, that's a really good question. And, I'd probably have to sit and take a little bit of time. So, this is probably, my answer is in pencil and not in ink. But, certainly the conference, the future of the conference, and there's several components to that, including membership, but also other things. When you think about the football schedule, when you think about the public relations campaign, Paul, which you asked about, and I appreciate you asking, and transformation committee, and what if anything is governed or regulated is a better word by the conference versus each institution. That's probably 33%, of my time right now, 40% of my time. Maybe it's more than that, but and then probably another third of my time is really thinking about the next 5 years for Baylor Athletics. And so we have our strategic initiatives. We've completed those. We've got some executive boards, some working groups. We have what I would call University Athletic Department challenges, a list of those, and we also have Mack's priorities, and so it becomes a pretty comprehensive list, and we've got a lot to do, and we got a lot to get done over the next 5 years, and I'm really fired up and excited about how we can move that needle, and then probably the other 33% is so I'm now going 34, 33, and 33, so people know that. All right, so not 40% on the conference stuff, but I'm going to go 30, 34, 33, 33, and then the 33 stuff. Look, it's raising money. It's name, image, and likeness. It's again preparing champions for life. It's the day-to-day stuff. It's the budget. It's all of those things that you got to still be engaged with. And again, just another opportunity. So thank you for the opportunity to just mention our staff. And we had a head coaches retreat. And we came out of that in probably the most prolific, and maybe I've already shared this, and if I have, I apologize for being repetitive, but it's not what we have. It's who we are, and continue to double down on that. And look, we got to have things, no doubt, but those things are there's not a lot of value to them if we don't have the right people, the right culture. And so again, that whole culture piece is certainly part of that 33%. So that gives you a bit of flavor.
Yeah, you can always just Chicago cut the pizza with a bunch of different squares, and they're all pretty equal except the corners as well. Does Dr. Livingstone, being now the chair, the board chair of the NCAA Board of Governors, the Transformational Committee, what she's done with the Big 12, what your role is being with the Big 12. How much does that help? Is that like that allows you to even be more a part of any decision making at Baylor?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I think, it gives us a platform to have influence. And look, I think, people are trusting that, right? The influence to be, what's best for the larger enterprise. And, certainly you're always going to look, personally how it impacts Baylor athletics. But, I think that, I think it's a testament for how Baylor University right now is viewed nationally, and that can change in a heartbeat, as we all know, and so we really got to really have to protect that. But these opportunities for Dr. Livingstone, the opportunities for me, whether it's right now with the conference stuff or it's a role now with new NCAA president. I mean, it's those opportunities are because of where Baylor athletics is right now, and it's a whole lot of we. It's everybody that has had a role in that. No one person bigger than the other, and we're all equal in this, and it includes certainly our student athletes and our staff, our coaches, our university administration, our board of regents, our fans, and the three of you, and I know Craig's not there. I mean, you're even a part of this, and so we're obviously we're in a good place, but we can still be in a better place, and that's the charge.
We appreciate that. I want to go back to what you said, and I know you got to go. That you would not have signed the 10-year contract extension had you not felt Baylor was going to have a seat at the table going forward, and that would be able to play with the big boys and play with them straight head up. Does that include the entire Big 12? You feel like that way as well when it comes to the future? Yeah, I do. I think that the other 11 member institutions have that same mindset. I really do. And so, and I think that's, certainly, a part of the equation that equals, the optimism that I have personally. And I think that my colleagues, the other athletic directors, the president's chancellors, Brett, the Big 12 staff, I think that, that we're all committed to being that and doing that. So, and again, that's why the optimism. Yeah, and I got a feeling based on listening to you that there have been times since UCLA, USC, and all that, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You've been through this before, that you've had some moments where you have been given information. No one's told me this, but I just get the feeling where you've been maybe in a consultation or you've been involved with somebody on the phone that understands media, the TV rights, which you do as well, where you might have gone, damn, that's pretty good news for us. Yeah, I think that, I think there's been, yes, absolutely, as, you've been in the trenches over the last 4 to 6 weeks and all of the different conversations with different media members, with different athletic directors, presidents, consultants, TV media consultants. There's been a lot of positives, and there's been some challenge as well. And the hardest thing not to do is not to get on the roller coaster ride, and understand that there's both a short game. It's like the game of golf, right? You the ones that win the majors, really good in the long game, and oh, by the way, really good in the short game. Yeah. And so there's a short and long game to all of this, and knowing and understanding it. But I
I would say that at least from my lens, both the short and long game are pretty positive.
When does Brett Yormark visit Baylor?
A couple weeks from now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not happy for the record that somehow TCU was first on this. My colleague Jeremiah Donati probably promised him something. I'm not sure what, but I'm fine. Believe me.
All right. Hey, man, thanks, Mack. Appreciate your time. Mack Rhoades, Baylor's Director of Athletics, Sic'Em 365 Radio and 365 Sports. And